We're here.
We're live.
Neads Show. Sonic Garden Radio Live. What are you doing? Saturday edition.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the mAng and Neads Show, live on Sonic Gardens Radio. Welcome.
Hi. How are all the people?
The people. So here we are, another episode, day number 27 of the Central New York quarantine. And we are continuing again with our 27th straight day of live broadcast updates and banter. Sonic Gardens music.
Just out here continuing.
Yeah. Opening track, Chaka rehearsal. Chaka. This one, version of Jailhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Rough mix.
Been there, done that. Seriously.
Yeah. So here we are. What is today? Saturday, man.
It is.
Saturday. All the days are kind of floating into the same day, seems like.
Really?
I don't know. It's like I'm hard keeping track of like specific day.
Well, I'm not, but I see all these people that are always posting that shit. I'm like, motherfucker, you got a smartphone. I know damn well you look at it every minute. It tells you right when you open it up.
Yeah.
Saturday, April 11th, 5:04.
We don't necessarily look at those, those parts.
You don't? When you turn your phone, like when you hit your goddamn...
Yeah, you're just going for the apps. You're not like, what time is it? Exactly. I mean, yeah, time.
Well, I mean, when your phone's locked and you hit the big button...
Yeah, I don't think I ever check that. Like, I don't ever...
Well, I mean, I don't check it, but
it's not like my day. Like, I don't notice it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh. As soon as I turn my phone on and my beautiful little background in there, just everything's there. The time. Everything but the temperature, man.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever used to call the time and temperature when you were younger?
Oh, yeah. 7777.
Right.
334.
Call it up. Pretend you're talking to somebody. Just call the time and temp.
It used to be the bank, right? But
yeah. Back in the day, man.
But what is it now? It's like something else when you call it. It's like some kind of information.
Let's
thing.
call it.
Oh yeah, I guess we could do that.
Call it right from the thing. See what happens.
I'm sure some people still do. You get the time and temperature. Oh my God! Almost did the old 344. 334 7777.
Somebody will answer, Brian.
Good afternoon. For consistently fast internet experience with a dedicated connection, try Frontier's high-speed internet. Now even faster, up to 40 megabits per second. Visit frontier.com. Frontier time 5:05. Today's date is Saturday, April 11th. The current temperature is 45. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. We're doing that every time from now on. That's like our stamp mark now. Like,
about the real time.
Real time, real temp.
It's real time.
Now our people know what conditions we're living in, what time it is.
Yeah. I
like it.
Central New York.
Yeah, it was. So they get new sponsors, obviously, because I know it was the bank, like you said, but then it was something else for a while, and now
it looks like Frontier just took the number back over because it was such a thing. But like NBT was probably like, nah, we don't want to pay for that anymore.
Right?
Who knows? Who knew? All right, so what do we got, man?
Oh, just waiting for Rudy to get out.
Rudy gets plenty.
He's getting plenty.
Keep it in there, just a light
yeah,
background.
keep it
music.
in there. We like to lighten up the mood for everyone.
Again, that was Chaka performing Jailhouse. That's a
Pretty good version, actually.
It's not bad. It's actually a rough mix too. I didn't like spend any time like really adjusting it. That's
Right, it's just a lot what you would get live if you didn't mess with it, right?
Yeah.
Basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's like listening to an old dead tape, but it's way better. I mean,
Like in
yeah.
a way, yeah, certain way. Like
well,
the
I'm
quality
saying
of the
the
tape,
quality of the tape
yeah,
and everything.
There's not a huge like static or something.
yeah, I'm
flowing.
not comparing the bands, but I'm just saying
Obviously, yeah.
the quality is much of the recording. Crystal fucking clear, actually.
Well, we're here to give everybody some updates, so I think
are.
we'll kick right into that. Right here, we're gonna pull up the Worldometer for total cases in the world.
World.
That is running at 1,771,549 total cases.
What a terrible number.
There's been 108,333 deaths and 401,482 people have recovered. Which basically is a 1 in 5. If you don't have anything else to go by, that deaths, open cases, not taking into account what's critical and what is serious, then your recovery is 1 in 5. And obviously those aren't the numbers, but that should be frightening enough to look at, like, worst case scenario if the thing even morphed into like a whatever, something different that was even harder to fight, and it basically was like if you contract it,
There was
die.
a lot of death yesterday.
You're 1 in 5. Yeah,
A lot of death yesterday. You know that?
yeah.
It was over 2,000.
We called that yesterday. I said that if we continue, so based on my
We
same,
passed Italy too, man.
yeah,
which is not
in
good.
just in deaths, yeah. So
For sure.
and currently we're at 1,700 new deaths today.
Yeah.
and it's still
pretty-
early.
Yeah,
I think I saw it wasn't even 8 that it was updated. It was more like 10 o'clock maybe.
Yeah, it's
I'm not,
later, man. It's almost yeah, it is
yeah,
later.
because I was watching last night and I looked at it. I said, no, wait, this still has today's date, today's numbers.
Right.
We've
We've tested 2,644,344, man. So
that's less than 1%.
yeah, that's not shit, really, if you think about it. But I guess I don't know what I guess, because in the same aspect, they're not testing everybody obviously that needs it, because when we look at the like Shenango County and stuff, our county, and we go and look at it, and they've got like 155 people mandatory lockdown. Now, if you're in mandatory lockdown, then they think you have it, but they haven't tested. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
they haven't got the result at least. So that's not real positive thing to look forward to, really, I guess. And we're
No.
so Shenango County, 61 people have tested positive. It's up 6 from when it was 55. Like, maybe we didn't check too much into. I think we did though, but either yesterday or the day before we checked into it, it was 55.
And that doesn't change much for as far as what we've been witnessing.
The only thing
Like we did get a couple results a day, which
the
So-
only
go ahead.
one new positive basically today. But I don't think my date's today. I think this information I think is all from like up until last night. So the only thing I see that is kind of a positive that went down is the percentage of positive results went down from 19.8 to 18.4 right now.
and again, like I said, those numbers would drop rapidly the more testing that was done random, as opposed to symptoms or cases or people that are calling into the hospital, or those types of things. I found did you hear there was a grading? They came out with a grading on right down to county. and Shenango County had a D- rating, and they based this rating off of the decrease in distance traveled from people's homes,
Right.
and the other criteria was visits to non-essential places.
Oh.
So, and then so the high end of people like that was like Binghamton actually had like A-, or maybe it was Ithaca. Ithaca had an A- rating, and it was because they decreased by like 57% of travel outside of the area, and then they were like 76% down on non-essential locations, whereas I think we in Shenango County were only down 10% on non-essential locations, which seems like, because basically everything's closed.
Right.
So what, I guess what is that criterion? It was only like we had decreased like 40% travel. So I don't know how they do that. Maybe it's one of those NSA things where they actually got us all tracked, so they're able to put in their little thingy.
Right.
I don't know. Or if it was like I don't know what it was, but another one of those places that you can visit for some graphs and charts and such.
Graphs and charts.
Yeah. Fun. Not fun. So to that COVID Act now, that one that we had been looking at, they actually broke down the Norwich so you could see, or Shenango County. And what it said was, it showed the same, it showed that same like arc, but it was broke down to just the county. You know what I'm saying? Which is actually all we can do as a society is really break down. Like, we can't do anything about the world. We can't do anything about China. We can only do anything about our community.
Right.
And so, let me pull this up here. COVIDActNow.org. And yeah, like I said, so you pull up that and it tells us. So now this is not as dramatic as far as okay, I'm gonna pull this over real quick. This is not as dramatic as far as numbers, but you'll see. So I'm gonna put in Shenango County, and it shows how many hospital beds are available. 47,000 residents in Shenango County. And okay, so what we're looking at here is today there are 49 available ICU beds.
Really?
As of this day, or actually yesterday, whatever. Today.
Does it happen to show when our peak would be up here?
Yes. So the peak here is it's down to only 2 options, and they are 3 months of stay-at-home lax and 3 months of stay-at-home strict. Okay?
Right.
So currently running on the lax curve, that would put
middle of May, end of May.
That would put basically 54 hospitalizations by April 30th, which would extend past the available beds. So that's when it starts to be that there's not enough, there's nowhere to put anybody.
Right.
And then that would actually increase daily, where we're looking at reaching 170 or 186 hospitalizations by June 9th. And this is our lax stay at home. Okay?
Yep.
Again, this was updated on, I think, like the 6th. So, and then the other option is the lower one, which it's the strict, which puts it at 50 hospitalizations on May 12th. So we wouldn't hit a maximum in our hospitals until May 12th. And that would only reach, I don't ever want to say only, but the peak of that would only be 59 hospitalizations, and then it would start to decrease by June 13th. The even past June, looks like about June 21st, only 45 hospitalizations, and it's decreasing.
Huh.
So that's their claim. So
Right.
anybody that says, "Oh, we're opening up May 1st," then we're talking the big number. We open up May 1st, and that's not even lax. So who knows what could change if something like that happened, if they lifted it. But again, that's not up to Trump. That's up to the states. So that's going to be up to Cuomo and, whether or not we open back up.
Yeah, but if Trump says let's open back up, since he's so worried about the stock and everything, and that's right down there in the city, there's going to be pushback if Cuomo won't. You know what I mean? If he doesn't open it, there's going to be everyone that hates him. You know what I mean? I don't know if it'll do anything, but fuck, they'll be fucking burning down his house.
So you're
What
saying
do you think,
so
right? Don't you think?
Yeah. You mean
If Trump says let's
open up and
let's
Cuomo
open
says
up,
no,
and Cuomo says, and Blasio says fuck that,
they're going to be pissed. People are going to be pissed.
don't you think? Like certain people that don't like Cuomo and want to get back to work and want the
Right.
economy to be booming, and
Seems
the
to
stock
me like-
market's all right down there. They're not going to work, right?
Seems to me like for certain people that this is more than just ratings and votes, because you can't, like, so say somebody said to Cuomo, if you don't open back up once Trump said it, you're never going to get reelected. Do you
I
think,
mean,
I don't know his intentions, but like a good person would be like, well, forget it then.
Fuck
I don't care if I get
Yeah.
reelected. I'm doing my part
I mean,
now.
who's gonna be? You got that means you got to get the people to not vote him back in.
Right. So 180. So that would be like currently, worst case scenario based on stay at home 3 months, which we're only 1 month in. So we got
Right.
2 more months of this.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And
We'll see.
we really should just keep that as like the goal and understand we're in a marathon and we're not like just trying to, okay, had enough of this, time to move on.
Cuomo
it's
might
like
leave it up
figure
to the
something out.
mayors and stuff, so that would be on them then. Then they would be the ones.
Well, of course, that's how it would work. Same way that the states have control, it would then be, a guidance there. And, so I guess, like you said, if Cuomo opens up, then Norwich is going to go full blown.
I don't
because
think
we're already
Cuomo-
people that don't care.
I just don't think I really don't think he will do it unless he gets fucking some kind of order or whatever that they order against him, or you know what I mean. Like I just don't really think he would open it up. All the precautions he's taken, and all, even though he was everyone didn't do it perfect, but I just don't think that he'll open right back up on May 1st. I don't see it happening with him, or he's gonna try to fight it at least.
Right.
But I feel, man, I don't give a fuck. I'm staying away.
Yeah.
If they open shit back up, I talked to a friend of mine today in the city that I've known since since they were born. They had it, and they
had it?
yeah, dude. Their body pains were so I'd say they're about 30 years old or so, 31.
Uh-huh.
Pretty good shape person. Dude, they said it they felt like there was airbags deployed all over their body, man.
Oh.
Couldn't even roll over without pain. They did lose their sense of taste and smell. They said that was weird as fuck. So, yeah. Yeah, we don't want it at all. Definitely don't want to give it to somebody older either. And in our state, like the percentage, like male and female, the male is like 54%.
Right.
So
What about the African American numbers? Like I hear they're a lot higher, and I'm curious
They
if
have
that's
been.
based on is that based on like location too?
Well,
Have they
it's
broke that down?
based
That's
on
made it,
that
like-
and able to get health care and going to the doctor and being
Right.
and having a lot of them don't ever go to the doctor ever, you know what I mean? They can't just get into some things I saw yeah, and it has and it's ravaging through neighborhoods like in Detroit and stuff.
Right.
And a lot of them, though, a lot of the African Americans, they work essential work. A lot of them, like bus drivers and stuff like that. I saw like one bus driver, and he was on there. They had interviewed him, and he was on there bitching about people riding the bus and coughing and shit. And the poor guy got it and died, man.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I saw an interview.
So another situation of like people not doing their part.
Yeah, and he was on there bitching about it too, which I fully. But he had to go to work. You know what I mean? He had to do it. He was saying at the time, and he was saying he couldn't believe about these people. And then he started like, just cover your goddamn mouth, or if you're sick, don't get on the bus.
Right.
And then, yeah, man. Then he got it and passed away.
That blows.
Well, yeah, it's terrible.
Not just that. I mean, it's all kinds of the circumstances that people, you know, again, like I'm saying, you go to work in a hospital, and you know you're going to have to be faced with some difficult moments of death and pain and you know, all kinds of things like that. But you don't typically go there thinking that you're going to become deathly ill and possibly, you know, contaminate your whole family. It just changes the whole outlook on all of it, you know.
Right.
Now, again, that's why there's so many people demanding, you know, higher wages, hazard pay, all those things. Crazy. So we got a call-in number, 607-373-HEAT. If anybody wants to call in, give us an update on what's happening in their orbit and what they you know, what's going on. Anything that you're thinking about, any topics, any you know, any input here. We're just trying to create like a little place where we can all hang out, you know. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming as such.
Ooh.
I'm dropping some frames.
Uh-oh.
But
frame
it's
dropper.
really, that's typically just from more info. Guess let us know what YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Such viewers would experience buffering. Okay.
Oh man. The buffer.
But I didn't change anything, so I just gotta assume that it might kind of fix itself here.
Uh-oh. I got you out here, and it doesn't look like it's doing much.
You mean lagging?
Yeah, it's not. It's usually it's way.
Oh, I'm like looking at it on my screen, and we got. Oh, we did just get a little fade there because I changed the thing.
Oh yeah.
But coming back in, it looks like we're okay. All right, forget it.
Jimmy Buffer.
Yeah. Let us know if anybody's experiencing any buffering issues right now.
We got a couple watchers.
Make a comment here. You know, let us know that you are there.
Yeah, what
right
else
there,
are
it
you
just
doing
says unavailable to connect to chat.
Oh,
I don't know, man.
you gotta get it together. I want to know what people are doing on a set.
poor.
Just flipped over.
Yeah, so poor. Yeah, I did that again. So poor stream status, and I just don't know what I can do to make it better. We're usually sitting on a healthy stream, on a excellent. All right, hey, will you turn that down?
Oh,
bro?
yeah.
You're like linking through in my ears.
Oh yeah.
Hear that again.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know where we're at.
Oh, so basically it just goes back to the picture. That's what I see.
Oh yeah, that's what. Well, that was because. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm back now.
Oh.
It just does that because when I click up on this screen, it automatically clicks over to that one.
Back in action.
All I can think is that it will, if maybe the internet gets a little stronger here.
Huh. Well,
And hopefully it's okay.
Huh. Still on it.
We're still on it.
Thumbs up.
All right, so phone calls. Anybody wants to call in, 607-373-HEAT. And, you know, man, What else? So what you took care of some business today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curdy and I.
Kurt and you did some stuff.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Success?
Yeah.
Got
So
done
far so
early?
good.
Okay.
Got a lot to do.
I wasn't sure. Oh, you're just starting a project?
Yeah.
I got you.
Yep.
Amen.
Amen to that, mother trucker.
Yeah, like I was telling you, is that I had this tiling job, and I've done tiling quite a few times in my life.
He's a tiler.
and I feel that I'm like pretty good at it. Like
You might be.
for like not a professional, but like so I'm not like the fastest or anything, but the end product is like solid. I've done it for years, so like just in my own personal thing. So never had like cracked tiles or busted tiles or like anything like after it's been installed,
Right.
So, but I have this project and I'm kind of considering not using backer board and just doing it right to the plywood to limit my thickness. And I think I can pull it off. So I'm gonna try that. But if anybody out there knows about tiling and wants to tell me, no, I can't do that, or
Do whatever the fuck you want.
yeah,
I mean,
or it'll crack down the road, But that's what
it can crack down the road at any point.
right. But not like it cracks. I think because their air gets underneath.
Well, if it
So
starts
then there's
moving,
actually play
yeah.
in every step. So eventually, all of a sudden, it just cracks, and I think that would be from not using enough mortar and and it getting air in there. So
Right.
I figure if I can eliminate the air and keep it all level, then what's the problem? Somebody tell me. Doesn't stick? Doesn't stick to plywood or something?
Oh, it does.
Definitely does, because
Yeah.
it does when you cement. Yeah, sticks to
does.
shit. So it's just probably maybe the backer board gives it a bit of like a sponge kind of like a
Oh, yeah.
extra impact maybe.
Right on.
But maybe plywood would do the same thing. But plywood gets wet. I don't know. See, these are the questions for the experts.
Yeah, the do-it-yourselfer.
So, yeah. So based on that, I mean, what do you think about? Like I'm saying, we got about 50 beds. They're saying in the Shenango County area, and the worst case scenario is there's going to be about 200 people that need beds around here, and we're only going to have 50 of them.
Yeah, hopefully it's not one of us.
Um,
That's what I say about that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. I would think that from what I still see, that they'll probably fill up. Maybe not. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe a miracle will happen. I did see people wearing I do see a lot more people wearing masks now.
yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
I don't see like any of the worker people aren't still.
Oh no, yeah, no.
They're not even wearing gloves.
Cha-cha. Dad's wearing what they call him, cha-cha. Dad's wearing one.
Okay. Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah, like Nate Cole works down. Same thing. He took a picture with his mask on.
Oh boy.
So they are
Getting ready.
yeah,
oh, look
I mean,
at
they are.
Speaking of masks, a good friend of mine. See this mask right here, man?
Yeah,
She makes them, or whatever. This is out of one of my shirts that we make.
really.
Yeah, she made it into a mask. I had sent her some shirts, and I sent her a rando. I always send a rando. And then
So is it what do we got? Double layer? Of,
yeah, it's double layer. It's an ear one.
Right, so you put it on your ears.
Yeah, you stiff that fucker on over your ears like this.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's double layer. So I wear this over my other mask to hide it.
Right, so then you don't feel like such a sick person.
But I don't give a fuck.
Mine's
I
inside out,
wait
so-
for someone to say something to me,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
right?
Yeah, I want to get one. We should get they're gonna be fashionable. We
I
should
got
make some,
I got some good ideas. I started messing with the ideas we're gonna print so we could print like people's faces on there and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the famous people and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty
Like
good
Carol
idea.
Baskin. We're gonna put her.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Okay.
put her on there. Just obviously her nose and her mouth.
I want to get
Bottom part, her chin, obviously. Yeah, I got some ideas.
the dude. We could have dude masks.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yep.
cool.
We'll do ones with, you know what I mean, open ones, like with their mouths open.
Yeah.
You could do different sets of lips and stuff,
Beautiful.
right? That's what I
Beautiful.
say. We could do, we're a little late, but we could have done an Easter Bunny one.
Yeah. That one's
So-
cool, man. You look like Cobra Commander. Remember G.I. Joe?
Do I ever?
That was one of my
Fucking A.
favorites, man. You remember that show?
No one's half the battle?
Yeah,
Do I remember that shit? Yeah, I do. I mean,
Flint.
the cartoons, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
That's what was awesome when we were
Yeah.
kids. That's what we got. I mean, the movies are
Well,
like,
we got He-Man too, right?
yeah,
You
but
didn't
something
like
about.
He-Man?
I mean, I liked He-Man.
Skeletor?
I liked it, but not like I liked G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe was like,
No.
you know what's an interesting one is the life of Transformers and how, like all the
dumb shit.
yeah, but I'm talking about the way that they turned that toy, like changed through the years to stay relevant, at
Right.
least for the most part, and then they turned into that blockbuster movie.
Right.
And now it's like if you just look at like a company as far as Transformers, and now it's a like $1 billion in the billions of what they managed to market through the movies and the storyline and all this stuff, and it's just incredible to me because I
else?
actually watched the GoBots when I was young. I was
Not
a
me.
GoBot side,
I
so.
wasn't. You watch like Fraggle Rock and shit like that.
Fraggle Rock was cool too. Yeah,
I didn't
That was
watch
on
it.
HBO.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that shit.
Aww.
I didn't. I didn't get any of that.
Aw.
Like I didn't get that. I mean, I got the Smurfs, obviously, right?
The Smurfs. There was the Smurfs.
What else was there? Tell me about other cartoons.
know what
because
else
I'm
is, like,
telling you, I
obviously-
didn't get a lot of cartoon. I got.
Oh, we're back. We're back to excellent condition.
fucking A, man. That's
Yeah,
what I was
that's
at.
good. We were
you
just
call
like,
me the IT man.
Yeah, because you just made it work.
Right. Miracle.
Okay,
you
so
gotta just give it time.
no,
sometimes.
we got if we're
All of a
talking
sudden you go
cartoons
from 2 to none.
right, TV shows. Let's
Tell
see.
me.
We had
Oh,
the after
TV
school
shows?
stuff was like Growing Pains,
Oprah.
and Silver Spoons.
Oprah.
Oprah's like, if you were watching Oprah, then you were too old for that. Oprah wasn't like when we were young. When we were young kids.
Well,
no,
not
because
when-
there was
I
like
mean, when we got-
Donahue. It was Donahue, or
Listen, Oprah
what was
came in the
People's
90s.
Court? People's Court.
Yeah, I didn't get the
So
People's
that's what I'm
Court.
saying,
Oh,
you got-
like Judge Walkner.
Judge Wapner.
Oh,
I think that was Judge Judy's husband.
you know what was kind of cool
But, see,
show?
Wapner was legit. He
No,
like,
no, it was a cool. Remember Night Court?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
That was a
Dude,
good show. Actually,
So
right?
just recently it got turned on because Shelly just been watching Cheers like crazy. Like she
No.
watched all the seasons.
What'd
and
she
never
do?
watched
Miss a
that.
part of her life? You
Yeah,
tell
she never like saw that in the day, so now she like
Oh.
watches that.
What
but,
was she? Would she live in a cupboard?
But
I
she-
mean,
there's
that
a
was,
lot of
that was on like.
yeah, but there's a lot of pop culture things that she doesn't know about that she just like even.
Well, I understand.
even,
Like I
like,
missed a
comic
bunch of shit
books
too,
and,
but because
you
I got
know.
3 channels, but that was on one of the.
Yeah, but we all got 3 channels. Nobody didn't just get 3 channels. It's just like
You just told me you watched Fraggle Rock before.
That was
'cause
when
it was
I-
on HBO. I never got to see that shit.
But that was like after there was HBO, like later on in life, like even bringing up Fraggle Rock isn't like really the time I'm talking. I'm talking you go home and you're young and it was like, okay, here's one. You stay home from school because you want to
I try to do all.
it.
Listen,
And you'd
yeah,
have to
I hated school.
and you'd watch
5 years old, I was skipping.
right? And there's nothing to watch on TV except for
Soap operas.
soap operas.
Kidding me?
So all of a sudden we like
Victor?
we,
I know about
so all of a sudden
Victor
we know
and
all the and
Gloria.
and all these shows that like and that's
Don't forget The Price is Right, motherfucker.
right. So you get Prices Right in the morning, and you get the other like morning ones. Then at night you got the Jeopardy and the Wheel of Fortune, and then things. $25,000
What was that?
Pyramid.
You remember?
know?
Oh,
Whammies.
Whammy,
The Whammies
yeah.
from
Yeah,
what was that
You
one?
must have got 3 different channels than I got.
Oh jeez.
Um,
No. And then yeah, man, but it was limited.
What
in
was
the-
in the 80s? What was that one? Mel's Diner.
Yeah, Alice. Alice was the
You remember that
waitress.
one?
Yeah.
He was the bigger guy, kind of like raspy voice.
Always saying rude things.
Yeah, he was the
right?
cooker, right?
Yeah, and the
Ye-
owner,
Yeah,
the boss.
yeah, that was good. What was the one? There was a good.
But
ones.
I like that you brought up Night Court because Night Court. I
Yeah,
have
tell me about
not, Okay, I have not seen a clip since. But like when I think of that Night Court in my head,
with the tall guy.
yeah, when I think of that show, it makes me like internally laugh at like the characters that were in there between like the sleazebag lawyer and the bailiff, the 7-foot tall bailiff guy, and then the
Right.
judge was hilarious, the main guy, and just all the different scenarios, and then they would bring in different characters that got in trouble throughout the show.
Now you
But
would
yeah,
watch
like,
that. Was that on after you got done with your favorite show, Punky Brewster, or
Punky Brewster I watched.
was
too,
that
man.
before that? Elf. We can't ever forget Elf.
Yeah, but Elf was when a little bit later, as far as in my life, where I started to like snub the mainstream.
Oh, really?
things. Yeah. So it was like, what's this new Elf?
I mean, it was in '86, wasn't it?
right. I don't know.
Yeah.
The new thing. So I guess I was ahead of my time. I was 9 years old, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, it was '86. What a guess. You were too busy watching Different Strokes, right?
Different Strokes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that pervert Bill
Growing-
Cosby,
I
the
like
Cosby Show.
Growing Pains.
Yeah, Growing Pains.
But, yeah, he had a friend named Boner. Like, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you were watching the Family Ties.
Family Ties.
You were more of a Perfect Strangers guy, right?
Perfect Strangers. Oh yeah, I did like that show. But here's a good one.
Taxi.
wait, hold
I
on.
was real
Here's a
young.
good one.
Oh.
Bosom Buddies.
Bosom Buddies. Never heard of it.
Yeah. Tom Hanks
Oh.
and another dude, and they lived in this city where they couldn't get cheap rent. Like
Right.
the rent was out of control.
Yeah.
So they cross-dressed as women and got
Oh.
into an all-women's apartment. So like their life had to be, they dressed up as women like in the morning and when they left the building, and then they'd go to their normal jobs where they'd have to become themselves again.
Right.
And then they would be working with people that they actually lived with at or not lived in the same apartment building, and nobody ever knew, and just all these. Those were the scenarios. So yeah, Bosom Buddies. I remember. I
Bosom
think that's what it
Buddies.
was called. Maybe something else.
Huh.
But
You were watching. The Jeffersons was cool. Like, I didn't see the beginning when it started, like, them years, but I caught a couple years of it right when it was going down to end and stuff.
yeah, I had and then movies. I just like when the whole
You were
Mad Max and all
Right.
those things came out. It
Mad
became
Max
like
never got my eye, man.
well, what was the other? Video Entertainment, Mad Max. I'm saying
Video Madness, right? It
yeah,
was,
yeah. Oh, that's what it was. It was Madness.
something Madness, right? It was down there.
Movie
It was in the middle of
cinema.
town, and it was down there where
In the basement.
Subway is.
It's like in the basement of like
Oh, that was video.
somewhere.
No, that was video. Victory Video.
There was that too. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because they used to be in the grocery stores.
Right in
Either
the
way-
bottom, remember?
Man, in those days, like renting movies and all that stuff was just like the life. sitting
Yeah.
around, that
The
stuff.
life. It was the
Just watch movie after movie after movie.
Right.
That was our internet.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, here we are.
What?
So, well, no, I just figured we gotta keeping to our plan. I'm gonna play you guys a song. Take a little intermission here, as far as listening to our talking, and I just want to keep going with some of the different videos that we've made over the years,
All right.
and keep it all flowing. So yeah, I got I do want to So yeah, I want to get you guys. I was gonna play a song yesterday and then backed out of it because we did something else.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this time I'm gonna get this one out again. Here we go.
Perry Mason. You listening to the mAng and Neads Show?
You are listening to Sonic Gardens Radio and the mAng and Neads Show.
There you have
Happy
it.
to be here.
He's happy.
And so
Me
this
too,
song
man.
is Ophelia, performed by Monocle and Whiskey live at Sonic Gardens nearly 3 years ago. And this is the song by Lee Von Helm and the band.
Levi.
So. And we're back. mAng and Neads Show.
mAng and Neads. Beautiful. That was a beautiful tune.
It was a good one. A good version. Mr. Chris Wheeler. All my friends there with Monocle and Whiskey. Mike, man, Mike moved out to Portland area, or not Portland, it was just the Oregon area.
Oh.
He's been out there a few years now. If
Mike.
you're listening out there, Mike, Casellas.
Huh.
And, yeah, Jeff, he's still around. Brian, all those guys local, if you're listening, feel free to call in and give us an update on what's going on, how things have been. Those Macintosh family is really talented musicians. I imagine they're all, still get together and doing a little jamming, hopefully. Yeah, I know Chris is, doing his thing down in Nashville. Yeah. So once again, that was like a situation that, in life where you form a band. These guys put a lot of time in. Played a lot, and just life circumstances. People move. Choices that people make, and I just feel that like as small groups coming up, it's important to document it all and to kind of put a timestamp down. Uh-oh.
Got it.
That's how you get it. Goes down the wrong path, my friend.
Whoa.
You inhale the virus down into your lungs as opposed to drinking it into your stomach. Like if you just drink some water down there.
Right.
So you want to keep yourself really moist for the chance that it, because you can still not get it if you can just like drink that shit down. This guy chug, 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 chug. So yeah, it's important to document. So once this all opens up, and even right now, if we want to start scheduling some stuff into June, I think that would be like
I wouldn't get that comfortable with it.
We can start talking about it. So anyway,
Right. Well,
let's get
you
the
just said
dialogue
schedule,
happening.
Though.
I'm interested in all bands of whatever you want to bring. I'd love to record and document it. And like I said,
Documentation.
then all of a sudden it's just like I said, it's something where it was unforeseen, where Monocle and Whiskey was going to go, and how if they were going to have to split, and obviously with people moving all over the country made it hard to get together for some reunions. But it's nice, and in fact we'll get a reunion here with that band, I imagine. Next time you guys want to do a reunion, let's throw it at Sonic Gardens once it
A reunion.
if the world ever opens up again.
Yeah. You're optimistic, man. I like that.
Inexpensive entertainment all the way around is what I would say.
Very optimistic.
Optimism. You got to be optimistic at some point. To some point. I mean, I'm kind of like real.
He's a real person.
I'm a real person.
Live and uncut.
Legit. Live and uncut. Daily at 3:30.
At 3:30.
Yeah.
Now, starting at 4:45.
So, I know that we're kind of making a little bit of traction where we're getting some views on here.
People
And
like to
again,
look at us for a minute.
So I'd love for anybody out there that is just peeking in and checking this out and rolling through, if they want to call in, make a comment, give us a like, share, that's always good stuff. And like I said, we're just trying to grow this thing. We're just a couple guys here,
Two of us. Two guys.
couple dudes hanging
dudes.
out, doing our thing.
For now, we're dudes.
We got a couple regular call-ins.
Yeah.
We had a nice call-in from Dion yesterday,
The
all the
great.
way down. He shared some good
Dude, he's a good guy, man.
external information with us about
Yeah,
the
he's
Florida
good.
Keys. And yeah, he opened that, basically explaining that he went through like a checkpoint to even get into the Keys, it seemed
Right.
like. And then, yeah. And he said it was like right out of a Walking Dead. And I think what he meant by that was like militant. Maybe he watches a different, like Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead, I think, has that.
Oh, I don't know.
Like traffic stops probably and stuff. I don't know. Either way, I think that's what he meant.
I don't know. We'll have to ask him next time he calls.
Yeah.
Mike right off the fucking stand.
So again, they said we were having some possible lagging issues earlier, but now it seems everything is real clean.
We are not lagging now.
We are no longer lagging.
Oh, yeah.
We are no longer lagging. Call-in number 607-373-HEAT. And you can talk directly with me and Neats.
Yeah. Did you know?
See, that wouldn't be Neats and I, because I wouldn't say
Right.
you can talk directly with I.
Well,
So you'd say me.
Iman. Did you know old Jack Dorsey donated $1 billion to charitable causes?
Who's Jack Dorsey?
Now that you ask, I'll tell you. He's the Twitter CEO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just $1 billion. That's more than a quarter of his wealth. Did you know that?
Really? A
Yeah.
quarter of his wealth? He's only a $4 billionaire?
Evidently.
Twitter?
CEO.
Oh, CEO.
He's co-founder, but yes. So him and someone else
Yeah.
founded it.
It's a lot. I mean, it really hasn't been around all that long,
Well,
right?
no, definitely not. And then did they sell it? They sold it, right? To Bookface or something?
I don't think so.
Oh, well,
No,
it's hooked-
Twitter. No, it's hooked to
Twitter.
YouTube, Google.
Oh, Googs.
Google,
Oh, Twiddle, not
Google and YouTube.
All right, I
So
was
right
thinking
here,
of fucking
YouTube.
grams of Insta.
Yeah,
Instagram.
Google owns YouTube and Twitter.
Fuck, right.
Yes, sir. I
Huh.
think like even because I have a Twitter account that I don't really maintain, but I
Really?
think that when I post,
You used to tweet?
I think when I post videos, they go like it notifies Twitter, but I don't really have like a
Handle?
handle on.
What
that.
was your handle?
My handle? Sonic Garden. It's like XX Sonic Gardens XX. Because like Sonic Gardens, I think was taken by some fool. They wouldn't let me have it.
Mm-hmm.
XX Sonic Gardens XX.
XX,
Let
man.
us know you're in there.
Yeah. Twitter.
Yeah, we're on that. If you guys want to follow us on Facebook, that's cool too. We post stuff there and links and
We're a link
you
poster.
know, Instagram. I'm on there. You on Instagram, Josh?
Yeah.
What's your thingy?
Well, it is Needs and Threads
Oh, yeah.
101.
Needs and Threads 101.
Yeah.
If you guys want to share anything on there too, you know,
Tag
send it.
us.
Tag
Pound
us.
us.
We're not on Mang and Needs Show. That's right. We're on Sonic Gardens is on Facebook. Mang and Needs is on Facebook.
Yeah, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get our heads out of our.
Yeah, we're
We're
gonna
gonna
get
get ourselves Instagram.
yeah, Mang and Needs Instagram.
Mang and Needs, come to Instagram.
Yeah, I guess we should grow up a little bit.
It's
you know?
gonna be our first pilot. Mang and Needs, come to Instagram.
Yeah, 27. So we've been
do it.
running this 27 days and just sharing our thoughts and opinions
We'll do a TikTok
per day.
video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, TikTok video.
We
What
figured
is what's the old chore boy up to today?
Chore Boy is no, he's I'm solo, man. I could actually run this radio all night long if I want.
Oh, you're solo.
Mm-hmm.
You booted him?
No, he
Oh.
no, he just went home for his mom for the Easter weekend here.
Oh, they're celebrating?
Well, you know, family.
No, I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
I mean, like people that have Easter, they're still gonna have like Easter baskets and stuff. I imagine.
Yeah, I told my mom it's fucking canceled.
and she's like,
Trump canceled that
She's
shit.
like,
I said,
bullshit. She's still making food and gonna have a dinner.
oh, that's exactly. Oh, don't you worry. She
Yeah,
made
so-
baskets for the other kids.
for
Like,
the other kids, for you too. Ooh, ah.
well, she might have made me a basket, but she was coloring eggs for people today, and she made baskets and made all kinds of stuff.
That's right.
I kept telling her,
You're not delivering those to people. Is that what you were saying? You're like, you can't share them.
I told her all kinds of stuff, but yeah, yes.
We should get a
And
call. I want to hear from your mom, actually.
My mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She should call in. I know
She's watched the show a few times.
I
She
know.
watches.
I'm sure she
tells
has.
me.
She likes it sometimes.
Yeah, she's a liker. She's a great lady.
Yeah, she is.
But I mess with her a little bit. You know what I mean? I try to poke her with some humor, and then sometimes it's not humor to her.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a hard one to handle a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say a lot of I mean well, and I my funny isn't always sometimes if you're not paying attention, it doesn't seem like it's funny, I guess. But but when it comes out of my mouth, I want it to be funny.
I hear you.
Or it is funny to me, but it's if you're the recipient, it's not always funny, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, it's that delivery thing, you know?
Yeah.
You come across with your delivery.
Well, it's
wrong.
not all the deliveries there sometimes. I guess it's all on how you hear it or how you take it, right? There's that too.
Right.
How you take what people say to you. So, yeah, and I always try to lighten up the mood, always, no matter where I am, funeral, anywhere. You know what I mean? I like to be loose.
Right.
It's my whole life, basically.
Loose. Yeah. Yeah, you've always been that way. Pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, there's
I always
certain disciplines that change in our lives, but for the most part, personality is something that is just is, man. We all just get whatever we get.
Right.
You know, deal
I
with
didn't
it.
choose it.
No.
My brain picked it for me. If you really think about it, you know what I mean? Like,
well, technically,
it's like that whole what?
Technically, you're perfect exactly the way that
And my brain wants
the
me
baby
to be, right?
Jesus made you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
And you are so perfect that how can you stand
change?
how can you stand at the gates of St. Peter and be told that you fucked up or you did something wrong or you were a bad person? You're like, you made me.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. You
That's
put
the,
these thoughts in my head. You know what I mean? It's like when you have feelings for something or like, you know what I mean? Like you can't help that.
Yeah.
Like you can't talk that out of what's in your head. It's the same deal with like your personality and stuff. Like you don't talk that out of yourself. Like it's just like you're stuck with it. Like you get over it with feelings and stuff like that, but for the most part, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
We're getting deep now.
Yeah. You don't build a house and say, you don't blame the house for being a piece of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, this fucking hunk of shit.
Yeah, you're not good for nothing.
Well,
Yeah. So, in other words, I believe that we are all, loved just for being who we are by the universe. We don't have to change or be anything else or.
Yeah. You don't have to be all you can be, like they tell you.
I mean,
right?
you can always.
That's just someone's.
You can strive for self betterment,
Right?
But you're still.
But the old be all you
just
can
the
be
way
thing
you
is
are.
like just someone trying to push you to do work for them. Basically, is what it comes down to. Somebody always wants something.
Yeah.
I forget
propaganda.
That's
propaganda.
Yeah, I forget whose slogan that is, but be all you can be. There's more to it.
I think that's the
army.
Army, right?
Yeah. Well, see, somebody wants you to do something for them for basically nothing.
They want to hook you.
They want you to get over there when you're 18, but you can't do a lot of other shit. You can't drink. I mean, that wouldn't bother me any. I don't give a fuck about that,
But yeah.
But there's that. Did they raise the age of cigarettes?
I don't know.
Oh, because you're over age, right?
See, there's ones that's always kind of been funny to me because you got college towns. They're supposed to be like party towns, right? But if you go to a 4-year school,
yeah,
then you're not, and you graduate when you're 17 or 18 years old from high school,
right?
Then you really can't drink until most of these people until they're seniors or juniors.
Yeah, but that's why the brainchild that it was.
So
Whoever it was, I wish we knew like the fact of the first guy that fucking was like, "Yo, watch this," and made a fake ID.
well-
and then seriously, you know what I mean?
Now I imagine they're hard as hell because of those holograms and
Right,
all
but
that
some
stuff.
of those things are like, long as it says you're 18, they let you in and shit like that.
Right.
I mean,
What was that? Wasn't there a place over in Oneonta just recently that got busted like
the
100?
what was it, the sale or some shit like that?
And it was like 140 like bust like counts.
Yeah,
They like literally were like ID, and the whole place was just. And you're thinking
Or
147.
do you think that they like set them up and just went in there that many times with different people that didn't have a real ID, and then they're like, it's that old case of like,
no, because they would have.
we got you. 100.
No, they would have shut him down right away.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, they would have. They wouldn't
don't
wait
think-
for. They wouldn't wait for like, oh, this is a 6-month sting over.
Oh, they do that shit for all kinds of other
Yeah,
shit.
but you don't need 6-month sting. You can do
Oh.
it in one sting by
Oh.
one case, and they're coming in saying, "There's that," and then the next case, there's that.
Huh.
There's that fine. It's not like they need to.
Yeah, it
like,
was 144 or something, right? Yeah, 100 and something.
Yeah, so that to me is like a pumping night. Like it was happening, and yeah, somebody. That's what it was. It just probably got out of hand. I mean, I remember using.
Bouncer was sick.
I remember using a fake ID at the
Me
Black
too.
Oak in
Yeah.
Oneonta. Was like the first bar I ever went to with my brother's ID. He was like 6 years older than me, so I think I was 15, and I had an ID of him.
I was
of
using
21.
Stribs, and he was way the fuck older than me.
Yeah.
Fucking-
And the best was it was my brother's ID was like 5'11" or 6 foot. So
Right.
that right there was like
and you're 5'8",
5'8", you know, 9, you know. 9.5 with some shoes on.
Right.
So yeah, that was kind of like, hey, whatever, you know. And we look a little bit alike, but not that much.
Right. Quite a bit, I guess. Not then though. Or not
Maybe,
now.
yeah, not as much now. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So
I don't look.
so
like
there
my
was
brother.
that, like that was I don't know, that just is one of those things that's always like, I don't know. It's like they sell rolling papers
Right.
in the store, but weed's not legal.
Well, people
Like, what's
roll
up
their
with
own
that?
cigarettes.
Yeah, but they
Come
don't
on.
roll them with zigzags, you
Well,
know.
I don't know. I don't smoke either.
They're like, oh, and they always, and whenever you get those tobacco packs, they come with their own
Wow.
rolling papers.
Yeah, but you get a big fucking 5-pound thing with one set of rolling papers.
If you're gonna buy 5 pounds of tobacco, then you're probably bulk buying to make it super cheap. So then you're not gonna go spend like $3 on a pack of rolling papers.
Well, I mean,
Might as well
you
get
got to remember what we're dealing with here. Fucking A. Supply and demand.
Smigarettes.
Smoke that fuck out of a bong. Bong.
Bang.
Bong. Johnny, call us up and say bong for us, will you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anybody out there, we're looking to get 1,000 subscribers
Where
to
the
this
fuck's
show.
the animal fucking expert?
Animal expert, man. He's I don't know.
Probably
It's
shaving his
Saturday.
dog's ball hair.
Saturday.
Yeah, what are they doing?
No, he eats dinner early too because he's
Yeah,
always on the
dinner's
phone with
over.
us.
Remember we started late.
Oh yeah, we did. Well, no, dinner's like right now. Still, he's in the dinner time.
5:30 dinner boy is how they've done. how they
Yeah.
do
So
it, I
what?
think.
He's got to. That's an hour. He's got
Hour?
He's got to give 1 hour to dinner.
Jesus.
I mean, that would be like.
boom, boom.
I imagine that would be the deal.
Right.
Tell us if 1 hour is the thing, or if it's a half hour. You know, got to get back to work. I'm like that. I mean, when I get into something, a
You get
project.
into it.
Yeah, I don't stop. It's like I don't want to stop and eat, but like how he's explaining it, he gets, that's his whole life. It's like he must get into his work so
yeah, he gets into
so
it.
deep that it's like he could make excuses why.
He
he's-
gets into it so deep because he's fucking so late by the time he gets going to do it.
I mean, yeah,
He's got
but
to get it done.
so regardless
You know
of
what I mean?
that,
He's,
but his dude,
He'll
his
appreciate
mind,
me. He'll
his
appreciate
mind
me
is-
when he watches this. He
his
waits
mind
till
is
the
deep.
last fucking second, dude.
But it doesn't take away from the depth of what he's working on.
No, I mean he
So
does
you're
a
saying
great
he
job.
has to
I'm not
do
saying
it.
he doesn't do a good job. It's just he has no other choice but to fucking keep doing it to get it done, so we can leave or so he can get it there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he waits till the last second.
We all do that.
Yeah,
And it only takes a second.
he's a good guy.
No, but I would say that he spends a lot of time, thinking about things.
Yeah, talking.
Even when,
He's
talking
Call somebody
and
up.
thinking about the things that he's doing, and like, because sometimes it doesn't just come from doing the work.
Right.
Sometimes you got to do the engineering
Yeah,
side of it.
sometimes you got to procrastinate.
And that's why but you procrastinate, and then suddenly an idea pops in that wouldn't have come if you rushed through the plan.
Right.
And that's kind of how I see things. Like I've done projects, with the studio or, different things where I spend a lot of time, and then 2 weeks later I think of a better idea and completely tear that down. So it's like, however, if I would have waited the 2 weeks, then I would have just come up with the idea that I wanted, or even the sit around time. Like we've been spending a lot of time here where I come in, fire this up, we run the show, and then I check out, where it's like over the last time I've been spending, I've spent a lot of time here by myself in the last year, like so much time that in a way, this isn't that much different than things were as far as like my personal life, I've so but at the same time, so I'd sit around, and all of a sudden, it's like I think I got nothing done, and I'm just doing nothing here, but then all of a sudden I get an idea, and I, it's just that idea wouldn't have came if I was sitting home, not, staring at different walls. I guess I just come up with ideas there too.
We're at home.
Yeah, I'm an idea guy.
Right. Oh, I believe it.
I
believe it.
I got an idea. And the idea right now is that, man, we've run this all the way through to be ready for another Sonic Gardens music video.
Yep.
Did we ever give any other dialogue on this update?
Yeah,
What,
we're talking about good stuff right now. We don't want to ruin the good stuff with the depressing shit.
It's true.
We'll give them a close
That's
out when we
very true.
leave. But for now, what do you got for him?
Well, like I said, I figured every half hour I could run.
Yeah, no, but what do you
getting,
got for a song?
I'm checking it out.
Oh,
Yes, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to get in here.
right. Fucking A, man.
See what we got, I want to get actually, let's do throw Uncle Uku and the Guise track in, because even though I've played a few of their tunes,
Oh yeah, I haven't
I
played
have
this one
not
yet.
really played, and I also haven't played the, I haven't played the actual, music on here, the videos. Have I? I don't think I've done any
I don't
videos.
believe so.
Do Right to Revolution, man. This is a cool tune. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sonic Gardens Radio coming in. mAng and Neads Show. Stay with us. We're going to come back, give you some COVID updates and etc. mAng and Neads Show.
is it that makes you laugh? Is it Seth's long hair or Trooper Lewis's badge? That piece of metal don't give him rights to lie. I saw from the start you was out on his side. We've got a right to revolution. We've got to take it hand in hand. We've got a right to revolution. We've got to take it hand in hand. Yes, they call it treason when you speak your own mind. They don't need no reason to convict you of the crime. I was wearing my seatbelt, you lying fucking swine. I will stand for my rights now, and justice will be mine. We've got a right to revolution. We've got to take it hand in hand.
And we're back.
Sonic Garden.
Radio. All right, that was Uncle Uku and the guys doing Right to Revolution. That again was like 3 years ago. Holy cow, man. It's crazy. So that we had something coming up on the 25th with those guys, and it didn't work out yet.
Did not
Not
work.
gonna work out, but like I said, if we
Schedule for June.
June or July. All right, what would you say? I mean, 3 months is the end of June, right? Or I mean, this is our. You just don't think we're getting out of this? Come on, let's go down this road then. Let's go down the gloom and doom. Let's bring it all out. Let's say.
I told you what they're gonna do. They're gonna let us out, and then we're gonna shut back down because we're fucking premature, man.
Premature.
It happens. Shit, it does.
All right.
So there's that.
All right, here we go. I'm bringing these numbers back up. Let's talk about these countries and try to get a little. What was it? Oh yeah. So my like I was talking about yesterday. Okay.
What are you talking about?
I was talking about how it's based on the cases per day is going to determine the deaths down the road. Yeah, look at that Look at that offset number now. Ooh. So it just changed to yeah, I mean it's like 20. So I got the deaths to recovered
right
in the USA, which again, they don't give us that graph that they do for all the other countries. But if they did, then it would be about, yeah, I mean, we're talking, man, it's not fit. It's like 60%. survival.
Really?
Yeah. One in 3 people have died that have recovered. That of the closed cases in the United States, 1 in 3 people. So that means where do you find the critical? You only do on the other one.
Oh.
For the world? Yeah, serious or critical right now in the USA is 11,000. So like that's the number that we don't have when it's like it's hard to follow the numbers when they don't put those certain graphs on there to show the severity. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like with this main one where it breaks down all the countries as a whole, then you got the total cases and all that stuff. But when you break into the USA per state, it doesn't give you the serious or critical. Is that true?
Let me get on the same.
Okay, because I'm gonna click on USA, and then you come down and you got
so
New York.
You're on the world right now.
Yeah.
And the world says.
Well, now I'm on USA, but go to the world.
USA says 500. Okay, so now we're looking for what?
You're on the world.
Yep.
USA, serious or critical, 11,059
Yes,
cases.
Boom.
Okay.
And you want to know about what?
And what I'm saying now, click on USA.
Right, and it's not there.
And you scroll down, and it doesn't tell you
What
per
states.
state
Right.
what is serious or critical. Okay.
I am okay with that.
But what it does tell you is the deaths.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, and it tells you active cases.
And it tells you that we have more deaths in New York State than we did yesterday already. Is what it tells you, Ange.
Yeah, this is all going to climb a lot more.
What happened to their flattening?
Okay, so
I don't think that they went to the same schools that we went to when they're talking
So-
about graphs and shit.
right,
When they're
so
talking
here's-
about flattening.
So here's my
Damn it.
So here's my theory again is that these, like, as you're seeing this this flat, almost a flat line of cases over 30,000 every day for the last 7 days, except for the one day that we had talked about, which was the Sunday. And I was like, maybe there's just some glitch in the thing. And obviously it seems to me that's what it was. They just didn't test as many that day. Maybe the administration said, hey, don't release the numbers so that the thing drops.
We went and looked at it, and it was the day before that was lower than the Sunday. And then we went and looked at the Sunday before that. Remember, we did
general area. I don't think it ended up being the Sunday, but there was a day, like a Saturday. You're right. That was, yeah.
We did. You and I did a little investigation work.
Okay, so you go down again, and here we are. We're hitting the same plateau of deaths, like sitting right above that 2,000 mark for 4 days, right around 2,000. And then,
right on.
And we've had the cases, like I'm saying, in the 30,000s for about 8 days. So you figure if it's bad enough to where somebody didn't deal with it when all this shit was going on, and then they were like, I got to go to the hospital,
Right.
they may have died within a week. And
Right.
that's where those numbers are rapidly increasing.
Or quicker. Yeah, definitely.
So my point is that started those days ago. So boom, boom, boom. We should, this is going to run, like we said.
They
it's
said
going to be a
this
rough
was
2
gonna
weeks.
be the
Yeah.
2 weeks, and
this
that
is
was part of this week and next week. We're going to be the worst two. They said, right? Right.
Yeah, and they also said until the cases drop hard, then it's not
Right, and they have not dropped. I mean,
right. That's what I'm saying. We're
and
sitting
the
here.
their flattening thing, like one day it's 33, the next is 34, and then it might be down a little bit and then up a little bit. But I don't.
Oh yeah, and we're a day off by that graph.
I mean,
'cause that's
flattening to what? 2 weeks ago it was at 20 something a day, new cases. Like from math that I learned, when you go from 20-something to 30-something, it's not fucking flattening anything. Like, I guess maybe, like we were talking about, New York might be flattening out a little bit, but is it? You know? Like, is it really?
Considering that they just got 9,000 new cases, I don't think so. As far as like everybody that has it is getting. Yeah, no.
I know.
Mean, we've already
and there's
said
more
that
deaths in New York today than there was yesterday. Now, how is that flattening?
it's not. It's climbing still. We're still in the climb mode.
Yeah, I get some of it, but
And again, like I said, is judging by this. It's 66. I'm sorry, 66% of the people have. What is that number? 60. Yeah, just double it.
66% of 18
60-40. It's a 60-40 chance once you're of if you've of the closed cases, it's a 60% chance
Right.
that you survive.
Right.
Like based on that number alone. Like we go
Alright.
back and we say that there are how many critical of the there's 529,359 cases in the US, and what were the critical? I got to go back to the countries to find out that again 11,000 of them are critical, but obviously that's the same daily number. It's like if you go back to a week ago or whatever, that seems like that number would correlate with the amount of new cases, and that's your percentage.
Right.
Because it's like we got new cases today. If you're going day by day, it's just 11,000 people are in serious or critical condition, and 2,000 of them are going to pass over to dying, and then it's not like it's going to drop to 9,000 serious or critical. It's going to go up again to 11 or 12,
Right.
or 13.
Yeah, you would think. You would surely think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
like the
11,000.
Yeah, there's 11, whatever. Yesterday there was 10 something. It didn't go up by a ton, but it went up by 100 and something.
And that increased number, yeah, it's gonna.
And you gotta all right. So here's what you gotta also think. So yesterday there was 10,917 critical cases, right? And there also was 2,035 deaths. So people from you don't just, if you're critical or serious, where you go from critical or serious, you go get better or you die, right? That's where the deaths come from, is the serious or critical. You don't just because you tested positive, you don't just go right, boom, I'm positive, I die. No, you go to serious or critical, obviously, right?
Right.
So 2,000 of that 10,000 died yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So today, though,
that 2,000 of them died, and now it's up. So
and now it's up.
3,000 went into critical.
Yeah, and then
yesterday.
1,700 are died today. So like that's how many people passed over from just being.
So would you add all those numbers and take the 5,000 and say 5,000 people just went into critical condition in one day?
You know what I mean? Well, in the last two, basically.
Well, I'm saying, are they counting the same like deaths? They're removed from the critical list because they're no longer.
You pull out the dead people from the critical.
So even as it's tallying,
so
the dead's going off that list,
and then the list is going up still. So that means people are getting added to the list as people get taken away from the list.
More people.
And we still, you took 2,000 yesterday and 1,700 today, and we're still at a higher number.
So it's like I said, it's a 9/11 day after day
terrible.
after day
Yeah.
until we are completely numb to the reality of the death and what's going on.
I mean, like if this went on, man, we'll see. But imagine if we weren't fucking locked down and
If
weren't
we
wearing
even
masks
talking about it. We weren't even
and weren't
considering
talking
it.
about it. And if we thought it was just something else, like the common cold. Fuck, I called that the Olympics were going to get canceled February 27th for, you know what I mean? I thought it was serious. Like, yeah, like, I mean, but anyways. All right, so we're gonna play another video, wrap this up.
You good with wrapping it up?
Yeah, we just talked about the numbers. Now I'm all, I don't know, it's just.
You run out of talk. You're
Well-
right. This is always the down talk where we get a little bit. Let's get off the topic then.
Well,
Hey,
I mean,
anybody wants to call in,
yeah, we'll
do
stick
that.
around for a little bit
we'll stick around.
a
607-373-4328.
if you call us.
4328 HEAT HEAT. That's how you get to us. Oh shit, telephone line is down. That could be a
so
good
we're
reason.
fucked.
It could be a good way, like why we weren't getting any calls today.
Oh.
Well, hey,
There's always tomorrow.
there's always tomorrow.
We'll be
That's
back.
right.
Well, for
Unless
some people,
we
unless
play the
you're
song.
fucking
We're gonna play that song then because you called it.
yeah.
There's no tomorrow, man.
All right, so thanks for joining us. Thanks for having us. And tomorrow we will grace you with another beautiful show.
Yes, we will.
So
All right, let me see.
no tomorrow.
In here. No tomorrow. Got that. I think.
Sing it loud, sing it proud.
Here we go.
Here we
Let's see
do.
what we got. Expand this here. We're gonna cut this over. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. This is Sonic Gardens Radio, the mAng and Neads Show. Happy to be here with you,
Proud.
and we'll see you tomorrow.
Proud to be in
What time are we gonna be tomorrow? You think?
Probably around 4:30, I would say.
4:30.
We'll go for that. Maybe 4, but we're gonna shoot for 4:30.
All right. Sonic Gardens Radio, mAng and Neads Show. Peace.
Perfect for this day and age. We don't know how many people are going to survive Corona. So live life like there's no tomorrow.
Say that anger lies within you. That burns you at both ends. I never asked for all this trouble. And maybe that's why I'm depressed. Someday everything you do is gonna be for nothing. So don't waste the time you have. I'm falling down with grief and soaked up all the pain. Hit the bottom, but I'm rolling in my grave. I can't take more of this sorrow. I'm up to my ears. I know that it ain't easy to let go of all the pain you hold inside, even when it seems there's no tomorrow. You can hold the ones you love, never let your feelings lose the battle. hold inside. Even when it seems there's no tomorrow, you can hold the ones you love and never let your feelings